I can't remember the last time that I hit record on my Zoom for the purpose of recording a podcast, but here I am. You might know me as T Ray. My name's actually Trevor, and if you're listening to this on Substack, you probably already know this. And even if you're listening to this via H10, Hanshin Tigers English News, you still might know that. But this is T Ray, and I'm back for the first time since June 2024. And of course, I couldn't do a show without bringing back the most loyal sidekick and great friend out in the best part of the earth, Hawaii. Sanjay, what's up, brother? How's it?
Aloha, brother T Ray. It's always good to talk Hanshin Tigers with you, and it's always good to see you in person as well as on Zoom.
And that's exactly it. We are on Zoom right now, and today is July the 9th of 2025. But not 1 week ago, we were in the same room together, breathing the same air. Uh, Actually, we were in a rather large, not enclosed room, if you will, called Koshien Stadium 8 days ago. And actually, that's what we are here to talk to you all about because last week, Sanjay and I had a pretty unforgettable experience. And I'm glad that we were able to kind of experience a lot of it together, although some of it I was kind of in on alone. But let's talk about what went down in Kansai from June 30th through July 2nd, shall we?
Let's bring it on. That was just such an amazing time.
It sure was. So, first of all, I guess I should bring this back a little bit to last year when Koshien Stadium had its 100th anniversary, because I haven't podcasted about that either. Well, the legend of all legends, to end all legends in Hanshin Tigers history, anyways, Randy Bass was there at the stadium for the Koshien 100th anniversary on August the 1st, 2024. And none other than yours truly was able to be there by his side interpreting for him.
And I was watching that on TV and taking pictures
Taking pictures was because of Randy, because of me, or both? Haha.
because of you, of course.
Yeah, arigato, thanks. I don't know even how much I was on the telly or anything that day. I was just on cloud nine. So, man, if they took photos or video of my feet, they probably weren't touching the ground. It was a pretty cool experience, and this kind of came about. I guess we can kind of pay tribute right off the top here. Your dear friend and an acquaintance of mine, I suppose, friend of mine as well, Marty Keenert, Randy Bass's agent, normally would do all the interpreting for him, would be there by his side for all of these major events. Unfortunately, Marty was in the hospital and was in no shape to be in Kansai for the event. And so the team talked to him and said, "We've got a guy in mind. He's in Tokyo." And Marty said, "No, you better get in touch with Trevor." And the reason for
Not
that is because I had interpreted for Bass the year before that in 2023 through Daily Sports. And Marty was there to witness and saw that I actually did a pretty good job. And so Marty immediately kind of corrected the team, if you will, got
mhm.
me on board. And that's how I got that gig. And that resulted in this one here. And again, Marty was hospitalized then. And tragically, as you know, Sanjay, and many of our listeners might even know, he passed away last year. Was it early November?
November 8th.
November 8th of 2024 at the age of 78. So rest in peace, Marty Keenert, and our condolences to your family and your loved ones. You can check my Substack or even H10 for a little bit. There's an article I wrote about Marty that I put out. My gosh, when was it? It would have been June of 2023, around
It
then.
was something about like the Midas touch. Everything he touches turns to gold or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And Marty was an outstanding man, uh, brilliant mind, great business sense, amazing with people. I mean, he made friends with everybody. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, we definitely miss him.
Totally.
So, anyhow, Marty's wife, Kyoko-san, was the one who arranged last year for me to be in touch with Hanshin Tigers, and then also this year, when the 90th anniversary of the team this time, not Koshien Stadium, was taking place. They have been having, the Hanshin Tigers have been having these legend days throughout the first half of the season, including some with like Kanemoto and Yano. There was one with Toritani and Fujita, and
I
it
was
was
there for that one.
it was supposed to include Yoshida as well, but he
Yep.
had passed on in February. Anyways, this was, I believe, the fourth and the final one, and they
Yeah.
saved the best for last. They brought back all three members of the back-to-back-to-back Jacks to dead center from 1985. Those would be batting third, number 44, first base, Randy Bass. Batting fourth, number 31, third base, Masayuki Kakefu. And batting fifth, wearing number 16, second baseman, Akinobu Okada. So all three of them were there for a special ceremony on the field. But that's not what the entire 3 days consisted of for you and I.
Not at all. Not even close.
No. And so actually, why don't you tell a little bit of your story of like, what were you doing there? Because aren't you in Hawaii? Like, why on earth were you here for those days at Koshien Stadium? Besides badly wanting to be there, like, how did you end up getting to attend all these events that we're going to talk about?
So that's kind of, oh gosh, how do I even tell the story, right? So Marty was my big brother. I'd known him close to 50 years from Kobe days and on and on and on. And so his wife Kyoko-san, we knew very well as well. And I was in Japan in May and didn't get to see Kyoko. And she was like, "Oh, there's this event happening in July at Koshien." I'm like, "If you can get me tickets, I'm there." She's like, "Seriously?" I'm like, "Yeah." So she pulled a few strings, and I was part of her family and got to go.
Right. So you flew out here, and the basic purpose for your trip was that, correct?
Basically, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk then about what happened on these 3 days. The first day was Monday, June the 30th, and Randy Bass, I believe, had arrived on the Sunday. But on Monday, Kyoko-san had arranged for a kind of dinner party. And the main guest, I guess, a guest of honor was Randy Bass. Kyoko-san was there. You and your wife were there. I was also there. But also there were some other guests that Kyoko-san wanted to have Randy kind of reunite with, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
So starting from, I guess, the journalists, there were three guys. I think one was from Sankei Sports,
Yep.
Sanspo. One was from Nikkan,
Hmm.
and another was from, why am I
Hochi.
forgetting that?
Hochi.
Hochi, correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think one of them was the beat reporter when the Tigers won the Nippon Ichi in 1985. Another
Exactly.
one, I think his first year on the job was Randy's last year with the Tigers.
Hmm.
And then the third one didn't really have any connection with Randy at that point.
Yeah.
So those three guys were there partly to, I guess, probably get some articles about, being the first ones on the scene of Randy's return to Japan, but also just because at least for two of them, they knew Randy personally. And then one of those reporters actually is responsible for bringing in the main kind of surprise guest.
Yep.
So he had a good close contact. He's with Hochi, correct?
No,
Nikkan.
Suki-san was with Sansipo, I want to say.
He might.
Oh,
Sponichi.
no, Sponichi, yes,
Sponichi.
Sponichi. Yeah.
Sponichi. Yes. So anyhow, Suzuki-san brought along Randy Bass's first manager in Japan. That would be Mr. Moto Ando. And he was not the manager of the team that won in 1985, but he was definitely Randy's favorite manager, has a very special place in Randy's heart. And this was really their first time to talk to each other face to face at length to have that focused conversation in who knows how long.
40 years, right?
Probably since Ando-san was fired, essentially.
Yeah.
We won't get into that story. And by the way, both Sanjay and I had such a great time and got to know Randy Bass so well that through the show we're probably just going to refer to him as Randy because that's what we called him during that whole time. And I think we're kind of on a first name basis, right?
At this point, yeah,
Yeah,
especially you.
yeah. We don't need to call him Boss-sama or anything like that. Anyhow, so also one more guest there was the team trainer at the time, the chief trainer at the time, Mr. Saruki,
Yep.
who was a very playful, even at 70, whatever years old he must be, he was a very kind of like jovial, playful guy.
He's a rascal.
That's a better word. There you go. Yeah. And so we had this dinner just at the hotel where Randy was staying, Kyoko-san was staying, and actually where you were staying. It was a
Yep.
very nice dinner. I mean, all the food was excellent, but the highlight of that, of course, was just the conversations between Ando-san and Randy.
Yeah, and I had no idea that that whole backstory existed
Mhm.
from when Ando-san visited Randy in what, late 82
I guess so,
to
yeah.
to sign him.
Hmm.
And the first thing out of his mouth was, I so respect your mother and love her, and she is the best thing that ever happened, and my best regards. It was just it started from there and it just kept getting better.
And it was then that we found out that Randy Bass's mother is still alive, and
Exactly.
she's only, if you will, 89 years old, and Bass is 71.
Yeah, exactly.
So do the math there. Pretty
Do the
amazing.
math.
Yeah, he said his mom is still alive and well and healthy, which is great. But yeah, Bass continued to talk, kind of built on some of what Ando-san was talking about going to Oklahoma to see him, to Lawton, Oklahoma, riding on that rickety 25-seat plane or whatever it might have been.
Exactly.
Yeah. Um, and what impressed me was Ando-san's memory, how well he could remember just the finest of details, not only about that trip, but also just about his time managing Randy.
Yeah, 86 years old and sharp as a knife.
Yeah, definitely. Telling stories about his philosophy towards how he managed players, what his approach was with Bass. He even, just a side, I guess, story, he said, I only had to give Bass hitting, I only had to give him a sign when he was up at the dish one time. And that was because we had a runner on second base and no outs, and I wanted him to advance the runner to third. And he goes, he took an low outside pitch, and he made sure that he hooked that thing towards the first base side so that the runner could get to third. And afterwards, he apologized to Randy and said, I'm sorry. I probably didn't have to give you any instructions. You knew exactly what you were doing.
Yeah, he said he felt so ashamed that one time.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so another couple things that came out, I guess their very first spring training together in 1983 was in Maui,
Yeah,
which I think I'd heard whisperings of, but I didn't put it together that that was Randy's first, and also that Ando was the one that arranged it.
yeah, and Ando-san, being the progressive thinker that he was like way ahead of his time. You know, go to spring training where it's warm and players don't get hurt. And let them be productive. He didn't want to over micromanage. He didn't want to like be a burden on the players. Just let the professionals be professionals. I mean, I'm a total fan of his now.
Oh, me too. Me too. And if you read into the Tigers' history a little bit and how he was kind of promised 5 years, and then after 3 years, he was essentially fired, although he was asked to step down. And because he saw the writing on the wall, he allowed for it to appear as though he stepped down, but in fact, he was kind of pushed out of office.
We can talk about that another time.
Yeah, certainly, certainly. I do want to say, I guess maybe I wasn't fully expecting that I was on duty that night. Like I didn't think that I was going to have to interpret everything, although what was I expecting, honestly? But I do also have to say, I'm very thankful that Sanjay was with me because anytime that I missed something or I had to step out of the room to take a phone call or whatever, you stepped right in and you were awesome as well.
No, no, no. You did your job and then some, and then you have to pay for the dinner too. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I know that was kind of the funny thing. I was like, well, I mean, I guess it makes sense because who else would pay for it, right? I mean,
Yeah. Well, I
but
paid too, so it's okay. We're all in the same boat.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think Randy probably paid for his own too.
I think so, actually.
In essence, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
obviously, Kyoko-san's probably the one managing all that stuff and doing a heck of a better job than Mizuhara did with Shohei. But
You
she's
went there.
taking care of the finances, and obviously, Randy made a little bit of coin on this trip, and so that was just maybe a business expense. But it was a wonderful and unforgettable night. We got some great pictures, and just the warmth that I felt between Ando-san and Randy, between Saruki-san and Randy, and the reporters even, like they were definitely very happy to be there as well.
Yeah, yeah. That was a total success from start to finish.
And so that was the prelude actually for, I guess, what could be considered the main event, because the whole reason he was called in the first place was the Legends Day on July the 1st at Koshien Stadium. And if you watched the game or if you watched highlights or YouTube videos, you probably saw that he and the boys, meaning Kakefu and Okada, kind of replicated the back-to-back-to-backs where they went up in uniform to the batter's box with a bat in hand. And the team mascot, Toraki, kind of pantomimed uh, a throw from the mound. And then they would swing their bat, and the announcer took it from there and just said, that ball's out of here. And it was cute, was it not?
It was cute. It was cute, and I think the announcer did a stand-up job, a bang-up job of it actually, in
Mhm.
terms of making it seem he was replaying the original announcement,
The
if you will.
play-by-play. Right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. So that was actually pretty good. For myself, I guess, jump a little bit ahead right now, and then we'll get back to the morning. But I was actually like, if you watched the videos and you saw where the cleanup crew, meaning Randy and Kakefu and Okada, came out onto the field and then back down, I was on those steps. So that was my point of view of the whole
yeah,
thing.
that was cool.
Yes.
You
I kind
shot
of
me a
hid
picture.
myself a little bit because actually Kyoko-san was there taking pictures as well, and I didn't want to kind of be jockeying for photo position with her. So I just kind of took a step back and allowed for her to take better pictures than I could have gotten. But that's fine.
I saw them all. You did well.
Thanks. And the little surprise right after that was that Randy got to meet his fellow birthday boy, right? March
Yeah,
13th. Although this fella is born in 1999, so significantly after Randy, but Mr. Teruaki Sato. So they had a very brief conversation, and I got to very briefly interject and just interpret, because Sato looked like he had a confused look on his face when all Randy said was, "It's a nice birthday you got."
yeah, and he had no clue, right?
Yeah. Although I'd heard, like from Jerry Sands and them that
Yeah, he must have
Sato
known,
actually could speak a little bit of English.
but he must have known that they had the same birthday, but yet he
Yeah.
was confused by that statement.
Yeah. Maybe, he just didn't know what was coming at him. And, he's got his mind on other things. Well, anyhow, I got to take a picture of the two of them together, as did Kyoko-san. And Kyoko-san's was actually in the newspapers and online and everything, but my picture is essentially the same. I've got the
Yeah,
exact same photo on my phone. So yeah, it was really cool to be that close to these two great figures in team history. I think one is still, writing his name into the history books, while the others is well established.
here, here.
So let's go back to the morning though, because my day started way before that. I actually arrived at Koshien Stadium at 9:30 a.m., where myself and the events coordinator, we'll call him. Should we call him by name? Doesn't matter, I guess. Sakamoto-san.
Yeah, Sakama-san.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, not the catcher and not the bad boy for the Giants. Um,
no, definitely
so,
not.
so Sakamoto-san and myself went to the hotel and picked up Randy and brought him back to the stadium. But actually, the first place we went was to the no, 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 we went to the stadium. So we were actually in the VIP room, which is behind home plate and way up above. Like, I'm sure all of you who have seen Koshien have seen it, where you see like all the 6 years of the pennants, right? The 62, 64, 85,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
48, 05, 23. Right beside
Yeah.
that, there's this big room.
Oh, okay.
And actually, that's where last year we had watched the game from. We watched the game from that room. And so that was where, well, I won't get into that story in too much detail. But anyways, that's where myself and Randy and Kyoko-san and Sakamoto-san went. And they had set up to have an interview between Randy Bass and the team. Well, the person who ran the interview was actually Taniguchi-san, who is a very famous announcer for Sun TV.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he did the Tigers broadcast for years. And he started a program called Torajishonaru. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No, I have not, but that's a great name.
It's the play on words of traditional and
Tora.
become a Tigers dictionary, in essence.
Nice.
Well, anyways, the show does throwback broadcasts of famous games in team history. especially during the off season. As you might know, Sun TV is mostly there for the Tigers, right? And they're huge
Yeah.
Tigers sponsors. And every time that they broadcast the games, they broadcast from start to end, including all of the post game activities, festivities. So anyhow, Taniguchi-san did the interview. It was for the team though, so the team hired him to conduct the interview, and I was there to interpret it. And this interview was actually 2 hours long.
Wow.
Yes,
Did you
it
know
was.
that going in that it was going to be 2 hours?
I did, but I thought, it's probably exaggerated. It'll probably take a lot less time, or I really didn't think it would be as involved as it was. That being said, I was kind of prepared anyways. I mean, I think that I know the team history well enough. I know the bass history well enough. I know English well enough, and I know Japanese well enough.
Yeah,
So I think
totally.
I think I did
Can,
okay.
can we do a commercial break here and say that you are the first foreigner to win the or to pass the Hanshin Tigers EQ level fan knowledge, whatever you
Proficiency
call it,
test. Yeah.
certificate. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I take my Tiger fandom seriously, and to the point where I did take a proficiency test to see how knowledgeable I was, and I did pass the highest level that they offer. So yeah, the first and only foreigner to ever take it, because the test is only offered in Japanese, and obviously that makes me the first and only to ever pass it as well. And that's my challenge to all of you out there: take the Toraken. Okay.
No way, man. I'm not even going to try.
Come on. Anyhow, so the interview went very well though. I sat there and furiously took notes as the questions were being asked and as the answers were coming back. And actually this Q&A was only for the team archives. So it's actually not something that they're planning to publish. It's not going to be on the socials. It's not going to be on the website. They're basically keeping it for posterity.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
Well, so like that kind of makes me feel extra good about it, because like I kind of contributed to something that the team is going to hold on to for, well, as long as the team exists, I would guess.
Forever. Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty solid stuff. It was a lot of fun. And actually, Taniguchi-san was very happy with how I did. And I did see some of the reporters that we saw the day before at Koshien that day. Actually, though, I don't think I told you this, but I saw Uchita-san.
No way.
Yeah, the one and only. You know who I'm talking
Really?
about. Yeah.
I know who
Another
exactly you're talking about.
another famous journalist slash author. So he said he knew about me through Omori-san, the Tigers data poster guy.
Yeah.
So he was well aware of who I was, and he was happy to meet me. Obviously, I was happy to meet him as well. So it was a great morning. And then after that, we sat down and had lunch. And basically, lunch was kind of a mix of Koshien offerings. So like
You mentioned that.
all year at Koshien, they're offering the limited edition Randy Bass special, which is uh, a slice of pizza, a piece of barbecued chicken, and fries. It's the American Seto,
That's
the
the
Randy
Randy
Bass
Bass
Seto.
special. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah. So we got that for lunch, and then we also got koshi and curry. Although when they sell it at the stadium, it's in the retoruto, right? In the
Right.
kind of, yeah. But it was served to us properly, so I think it was probably made freshly, I would assume. It was good. Anyways, it was a
Uh-huh.
lot of food. So we ate lunch together. And then after that, Randy Bass sat down and started to sign and sign and sign, because the team was selling these, well, I guess it would be like a letter size, roughly, kind of poster
Mm.
of, it had a picture of Bass and Kakefu and Okada on it, the day they hit the home run,
Uh-huh.
actually like mid swing or post swing or whatever. And
Right.
so it was really nicely done. A really nice, slick, glossy, you know, letter size or A4 size page. And so Randy Bass and Kakefu and Okada were all signing them.
Uh-huh.
And
Nice.
they pre-sold them. And they also took a picture of Randy signing one, and they did the same for Kakefu and Okada. They signed theirs at a separate date, separate time, I should say.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. But anyhow, they took pictures of them, and then they also have a letter of authenticity to show that these are authentic signatures. And they're going to put a picture of each guy signing, and they put it in a frame. So half of the frame is this picture of the three of them with the autographs. The
Uh-huh.
other half has little pictures of them signing
Uh-huh.
in present day, along with a letter of authenticity. So we're talking about like a kind of two-letter size framed,
Frame. Okay.
yeah, thing. And they pre-sell them, so they sold 100 of them. And the cost was 165,000 yen, which is about what, 1,200 bucks?
Woo! Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously the team is going to get a cut of that, but so are all three players or former players, I guess. But
Right.
yeah, a little bit of bling bling right there.
Yeah.
Decent stuff.
Kaching.
Yeah. So I got to sit around and just watch Randy signing, and I was just kind of shooting the breeze with people around me, some team staff and stuff like that. And then after that, I think we went to the museum.
Museum. Yeah,
We
yeah.
didn't go into the museum, but we went into actually like a kind of locker room. It was like a special locker room. It might have even been right near the players or coaches' locker rooms, but it was this special room. And so Randy Bass and Kakefu and Okada were all changed into their uniforms there. So this is
Mhm.
where he gets to meet them for the first time in a year or whatever since the last time he saw them.
Uh-huh.
But I got to stand there and watch them change, which was a little bit kind of weird.
Don't go there.
Yeah, no details here. I mean, there's nothing scandalous anyways. Although I will say, Kakefu has lost some weight.
Yeah.
Oh
So I
man.
was told.
Yeah, he's probably
He
lost like,
lost weight and gained hair, is what I heard.
well, that's what Randy was saying. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's part of the fun of it is that I got to actually sit in on them, kind of catching up with each other and kind of shooting the breeze, back and forth, for the first time in ages or whatever. And there was a couple of things that were spoken, and then I could see that, like he mentioned about Kakefu's hair. And then he mentioned that Okada's home run, the third of the three home runs, which actually was by far the farthest hit, right?
Hmm. Yep.
But Randy's joke is that his barely cleared the fence. And in fact, he hit the top of the fence before it went over.
He said that Cromartie told him that.
Right,
The center
right.
fielder for
The
the
center
Giants.
fielder for the Giants on that day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Randy said it, and I could tell that that Okada, he kind of had that look on his face, like, oh, again, type of thing, right? But then Randy turns to me and he goes, translate that. And I said, I think he understood. And he goes, no, translate it. And so I did. And then the whole room erupted. Like there were other people in the room too. And I guess they weren't maybe fully paying attention. And so that was the joke of the day or of the moment, that really got everybody reeling. So it was pretty fun. So from there, anyways, we go to the Koshien Museum. There's a special room where they're having a fan meeting. And the first part of it was just people taking pictures with Bass, Kakefu, and Okada. And then the second half of it was a talk show. So again, I was the interpreter for the talk show. And so Taniguchi-san was leading as the MC, but all three guys were up on stage, and then I was up on stage with them as well.
Yeah, you were right up there with the legends.
Yeah, which was kind of a surreal sensation. You know what I mean? Like these three guys are up there. I get that. Like they belong up
Yeah,
there. And of
yeah.
course, I'm needed up there, so I suppose I belonged up there, but it definitely was just a weird feeling. And in fact, like they had told me at first, they said, okay, so this is how we're going to do things, and we're going to call them up, and your seat is the furthest from the entryway, so you're going to go first. And I was like, so seriously, you're going to announce Randy Bass, Masayuki Kakefu, and Akinobu Okada, and the first person out the door is going to be me? I,
Hilarious.
I didn't say that to them, but I said, hey, how about this? How about if I hang in the back of the room and then I just sneak in from the side as they make their entrance because they're the ones that deserve the spotlight there. And if people, their first impression when they call the names and they see me is like, who the heck is that? Like that just brings things down a level as far as excitement, right?
Well, opinions may vary, but yeah.
Oh, come on. Nobody was excited to see me there. But anyhow, it was fun to be there. It was fun to be able to interpret. And that talk show was actually kind of designed to be a little bit off the cuff, casual, like just have fun with it. There wasn't a lot of like official answers that were lip service to the fans or to the team or anything like that. Now, were you in the room for that?
I was not. That was for the fan club, though, right?
Yeah, right. It was for the fan club. I
Yeah.
thought maybe somehow you got snuck into the room, but I guess not.
I have some pull, not that much pull.
There you go. Okay. Well, that was actually only about 30. to 45 minutes. So compared to the morning session, it felt like a breeze. Not only that, but also they were asking questions to all three guys. So during the times that they asked Kakefu and Okada, I kind of had an easier job in a way, but in some ways, actually, this is kind of interpreter insider knowledge or whatever. It was kind of harder because I had to do what's kind of referred to as whispering, where as Taniguchi-san and as Kakefu-san and Okada-san were talking, I kind of had to, in real time, relay at least some of that to Randy so that he could follow along with what was being talked about.
Right. I was going to ask you if you were doing that, and yes, you were.
Yeah. And what that did is it enabled Randy to jump in and interject at times. And he did a couple of times, and it was actually quite pleasing to the fans. So,
Hmm.
yeah, so that went well. So that ended, and then I think Randy and the guys got to go back and change out of their uniform. Or no, they didn't because they still had to do the main event. So they're
Yeah.
still in the uniforms, right? Now they're in standby. I guess we went to a meeting where we talked about the proceedings for the big event of them doing the back-to-back-to-back reenactment. We already talked about that, so they did that, finished that. Then Randy was interviewed by the media for about 10 to 15 minutes, and so I was his interpreter for that, and that was just within Koshien Stadium. Then he finally got to change, and then we got to go to our seats to watch the game.
And there I was.
And there you were. And you guys got to sit beside Randy, and I had to sit behind him. Boo to that. Well, whatever. I mean, it's just the way things work. So, long story short, we're watching the game in the stands. I was assuming we'd be back in the VIP room that we had last year, where we'd have some privacy and be able to sit back, have some good conversations together, not only myself and Randy, but you and Randy, or you and me, or whatever. But that was not the case at all, was it?
No, and I was expecting sort of a more private situation. And when we got led to our seats, I'm like, we can't possibly be sitting with Randy Bass in these seats out in the open with all these fans around.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is going to be like a major problem.
And I talked to Sakamoto-san about that as well beforehand. I said, like, are you sure? Like, aren't fans going to come and bug us for signatures and photos? And he goes, nah, it should be okay because you're with the kankesha. You're with like representatives and sponsors and stuff like that. So it should be fine. 大丈夫と思いますよ, is what I was told.
And to be fair, there were a lot of Kankesha, the sponsors that were there,
Mhm.
that the company that sponsored the all the fans, the wind waving fans that you use.
Yeah.
He threw out the first pitch, and all his employees were in our general vicinity, and they were all very deferential at the beginning.
Uh-huh.
But as more and more other fans came, they all became sort of looser in their, I guess, rules, and decided that they can come too and take pictures.
Correct. And so actually, like the very first fan, if I'm not mistaken, came, maybe it was in the first inning. After the first inning, he came with a jersey to be signed. And he was met with some resistance by Kyoko-san and maybe by our general party, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Randy being the congenial guy that he is, he was like, "Oh, it's okay," and he signed for him. And that was it. That's
Yeah,
Pandora's box right there. That's the floodgates open
yeah.
because with every passing inning, and people at least were nice enough to not come during the game itself, right? Nevertheless, they were coming at the end of each half inning for signatures and photos. And I don't know, how did you feel about it?
Well, it got to be sort of a security situation. There were too many people in the alleyways, the pathways, whatever you want to call the aisles and so on,
Yep.
and it wasn't a safe space anymore after a while.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think, I mean, not that I guess, some sacrifices have to be made, and Randy is the one that made the bigger sacrifices by actually posing for photos and signing and stuff. But I mean, like, just as kind of a side thing, and I'm not super sensitive to, self-exposure or whatever, but like, I'm kind of going to be in a lot of these photos now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Which means that, well, I kind of have to pose or at least make sure I'm not looking like an idiot at the time. Also, like between innings, if I want to get up and go somewhere, like they're in my way, so I can't really move. So it definitely was kind of an annoyance.
So it was an eye-opening experience for me,
Hmm.
being just a regular dude, to kind of get a taste of the rock star life.
Yeah, for sure. for sure. The lineups got longer with each passing inning. So the second inning, it was like 3 or 5 people, and then it was 10, and it just kept going. And finally, by the top of the fourth, I think it was
Yeah, top of the
before the
fourth. Yeah,
top of the fourth or after, where security was actually blocking everybody off. Like they finally caught on, and they're like, no, nobody anymore. They said, "See my stand," and kite, and go back to your seat and all that stuff. But people were still pushing kind of through security or getting around security. Like while security was blocking off as many people as he could with his wingspan, people were sneaking around that wingspan, still trying to get photos. Um, and then was it the end of the fourth where we finally?
yeah. They told us to leave because there was going to be a long gap in the fifth inning with the
Yeah, yeah,
grounds crew doing stuff, and said it's not safe for you to be guys to be here. So go up to the press seats.
yeah. So we sat in the press seats, and for those of you who kind of know the stadium, these are about maybe like 30 seats, 30 rows up from the field, and the press kind of get like what would it be like? Maybe like a 4 seat bench, kind of bench, or like I mean they've got chairs, but it's basically enough room for 4 people to sit, but it's usually one, maybe 2 people in there, right? Like
Yeah,
each,
I
like
want to say
Scotia
it
gets
was
one.
higher than I would say. It's more like 60 rows up.
I don't know if it's that high, but
It's
anyway,
way high. It's way high.
so we're in there and we're right in the middle of it. And so like we're surrounded by other different, you know, media groups. And so the fans obviously have zero access in that area, which was helpful. However, we were in the front of the press section. And so people, if they stood on their tiptoes, they could kind of see us. And there were still people trying to jump up and wave. And even one guy, I think, picked up his kid who had a ball and asked Randy for a signature. So it didn't end, but it was close to ending.
Yeah, and they were like almost on the verge of pulling him over the wall to back onto the lower levels, if you will, because they were so enamored of him.
Yeah. And then even when we left after the game, there was still people that were trying to get as close as they possibly could. I think word got out about where he was and uh how did you guys leave the stadium?
Oh God. Um,
Tell me that.
it was so they had two thoughts. One was to sort of stay for an extra hour and change until everybody left and dissipated, the crowd
Yeah.
dissipated. But then we realized that the hero podium interview was going on, and like this might be our window to get the heck out.
Yeah.
And so we actually left during the hero interviews and snuck into our hotel. But even at the hotel, there were people waiting for us, and well, not for me, but for Randy. And it was a little bit surreal. And we are like, go nasai mo. The long day today. We were all very tired. The official event's over. You know, good night.
Yeah. That seemed to be the story of all of much of Tuesday because even like I kind of glazed over some of this, but yeah, anytime that Randy moved from one building to another or place to another, whether we were being escorted to a car, from a car, or just walking, people seemed to know where he was, and people were coming, and people had stuff that they wanted signed
Yeah,
everywhere. Like from the museum into the car, which is like should be a 20-second walk. There were dozens of people waiting. Yeah, it was pretty
there were
crazy.
there are guys with jerseys um, placed in this sort of wooden frame, a circular frame, so it's stretched out, so it's easy to sign.
Right, yeah.
And they were there. It's just like, please, please. I'm like, dude, you're so well prepared, you know.
So let's actually then move forward to Wednesday, just to not in the name of brevity. We've already talked long enough, but so Wednesday was another big event, and this one was not kind of sanctioned by the team, if you will, although they don't really have any say in what Randy does with his life because he doesn't belong to the team. And so this kind of goes back to last year because when Randy came last year, I had already been in touch with kind of an entertainment agent, if you will. Um, and also I had a journalist friend, and the three of us had been meeting for, just drinks or whatever, and we had this idea, well, why don't we try to have like a Randy Bass talk show? Has that ever been done in Japan before? And we kind of quickly realized that it probably hadn't, at least not a specific one where Randy was the centerpiece of the talk show or whatever. So this guy last year had bugged me. He said, "Hey, can I meet Randy Bass?" And I was like, "I'll do what I can. I'll do what I can." So it was really awkward because last year I was employed by the team and I felt like, oh, I don't know if I should ask Randy this. I don't want to make him mad. Like we're still not really friends, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But I squeezed in the request and said, "Hey, a friend of mine wants to meet you. Do you mind if like 30 minutes before Sakamoto-san comes, if we meet, this friend of mine for coffee?" And he goes, "Oh, sure, yeah, no problem." Randy is just so obliging to every request.
He is so generous and gracious. It's
Oh my goodness.
unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. And so he did. And so we met this again, like this kind of entertainment agent, friend of mine, and he asked Randy, through, of course, my interpretation, if he would be interested in doing a talk show, um, and that they would work out the deals between himself and Kyoko-san, so that the business side of things would be taken care of. And Randy was like, "Yeah, sure," as he tends to do. So that went down, and then my friend and Kyoko-san got down to business, kind of working out, negotiating whatever they needed to. And then my friend also got down to business of hammering out every detail needed to get this talk show going. And so it took place on July the 2nd, in Osaka, kind of right near Umeda Station, right in the center of the city, if you will. It was an evening event. So I arrived after my work day and got to take part in this really fun event. And since you were there, and since you had a kind of fan vantage point, but not only that, of course, you kind of had a backstage pass vantage point, I want you to share a little bit about what you felt as things proceeded or beforehand or anything you want to talk about.
Yeah. So basically, as you said, um, Randy himself has said he'd never done anything like this. It's the first time. The guy who was putting it on is well known in the musical industry and so on, but this is his first foray into sports talk show events space. And so he was a little bit concerned, but they did a great job of putting everything together and having a great space. When I spoke to them, they said they had 200 plus people coming.
Mhm.
The official news reports I'd seen later said it was 300 people. So I don't know. The truth lies somewhere in between, probably.
Yeah.
But
But there was enough seating for over 500. And so to me, from the stage, it felt kind of empty except for the front few rows.
yeah, because it was a 500 person arena or
Assembly
auditorium.
hall kind of, or whatever. Yeah, auditorium. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but it was great, and I have to say, even though I dissed T Ray in front of Randy when he asked about what point scale I would give him for his translations,
I forgot about that.
um, I I told Randy later on it's 11 out of 10. It's like Spinal Tap, it goes to 11. And
Yeah, just to let people in on this, first you said I give him a 10 out of 100.
right, I did
Was
say
was the
that.
first diss. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first diss. But I eventually recalibrated that to say 11 out of 10.
Thank you.
Uh, and not only that, but you got a lot of laughs from the audience, which is what Randy was all about. He's like, I want to get them laugh at my jokes. And
Mhm.
half the time they fall flat. And so the fact that you got the jokes, you got the laughs, he was like, right on. Trevor knows what he's doing.
Thanks. Yeah. So it was kind of emceed by a former what news announcer, I guess, newscaster, who's
Yeah,
now a freelance,
a
right?
freelancer.
But a big Hanshin Tigers fan, so he knows who Randy Bass is full well and asked a lot of good questions, and we kind of knew what was coming because we set things up beforehand. Um, but yeah, some of it was a repeat of what I'd already done the previous day in the 2 hour
Right.
team thing, and some of it was a repeat from what I did in the afternoon at the cleanup trio talk show and the media scrum that ensued. So I was ready for a lot of it, but the interesting thing is I forgot my notebook, so I wasn't able to take any memos during what Randy was answering, and I had to kind of do my best to commit it to memory and then say it my thing as an interpreter, especially at an event like this, is, if you're interpreting for a hero interview or whatever, you just got to say what the audience wants to hear, and you can shorten it as much as you want.
Okay.
You kind of you have to cut it up so that the audience can consume it, right?
Mm,
It's
yeah.
got to be bite-sized.
Yeah.
And accuracy and thorough thoroughness is not priority in the case of like a hero interview, which I've never done, by the way. But this, I felt like, I got to be as thorough as I can. I want to say things as much like Randy did as I can. And again, if Randy's being humorous, I want to have a humorous tone to my voice, and I want to punctuate it with a punchline of some sort. So I did my best. And actually, yeah, like one of the great compliments I also received was my brother-in-law was in attendance, and he said, Trevor not only like knew everything that Randy said and answered it perfectly, he also filled in some gaps that Randy didn't include. Like, just for example, like Randy would often say Ando-san, Ando-san, but he never mentioned that that was his first manager with the Tigers. And
Mm,
yeah, a lot of the fans in the audience maybe knew that, but there were maybe some who also didn't, right? Because
yeah.
really, the Tigers became really popular, and Randy became a cult figure, if you will, an iconic figure in 1985 when
Yeah.
Ando-san was already in the rearview mirror. So, anyways,
Hmm.
like I just added things in. Like I said, oh, Randy's first manager from 1983, 1984, things like that.
Yeah.
So just adding in stuff to what supplement, I guess, what Randy said. So I was really happy to hear that from my brother-in-law as well. And it was, I wouldn't say it was pressure filled, like as an experience. I didn't feel like, oh no, what if I get things wrong or make a mistake or don't understand? Uh, but I definitely did feel my head beating. I felt like my heartbeat in my head by the time it was over. I was fatigued, man.
Mission accomplished, though. You did well.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. Um, and yeah, I really think like, I mean, everybody that talked about it afterwards, because I had a lot of acquaintances in the audience. And then I did a little bit of social media checking just to see, and everybody seemed to just say it was the most wonderful event that they could have ever imagined it to be.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a testament to what a cool guy he is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, and so just to kind of add to again just how uh generous Randy is, the people in the S seats, which were more expensive than the rest of them, they were entitled to get a photo with Randy. There was no talk of signatures, autographs, anything like that, or conversation. And when the team did theirs, as I said, I was there for the team one where people got photos with Randy, Kakefu, and Okada. Basically, that was like a well-oiled machine. People handed their cell phone to a staff member, and they kind of got back in line. And when their turn came up, they walked behind the three of them who were seated. They got their photo taken by the staff attendant, and then they walked around the other side, and the staff attendant returned their phone to them, and they were out the door. That was it. It was lickety split. It was like, it was awesome. But this one, there were no real rules or regulations. And like people had asked me before the event, hey, do you think I could get a signature from Bass on this? I really want to meet him. I didn't get an S seat, but do you think I could still get a picture? And I was kind of hard. I was like, no, no, no. We got to keep things in order. And think about it. If everybody gets an autograph, that's like 1 minute per person, possibly. That's a
Hmm.
lot of minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, no, if we say yes to one, we got to say yes to all. We can't do that. But Randy said yes to one. And the result was that he ended up saying yes to a whole lot of people because a lot of people came out with stuff they wanted autographed. He probably took pictures with some people 2 or 3 times because they got back in the line afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a little bit chaotic at the end, wasn't it?
It was. It was.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I don't know if I told you this, I think. As we were leaving the venue,
Yeah.
going down into the basement to the parking lot, there were a lot of fans waiting there that I don't think were in the event.
Uh-huh.
They had somehow caught wind of it and were waiting.
Hmm.
And we said, sorry, it's been a long day. Sorry, we can't. And as we drove out the garage
Uh-huh.
from the basement, there was a car waiting on the side next to the garage exit.
Geez, sounds like a
And
sniper
then
or something.
and then and
Or
started
paparazzi or something.
yeah, and started tailing us.
No
and it tails.
way.
We took all kinds of like back roads and so on, and it
Uh-huh.
was still tailing us all the way. And we're like, this is kind of scary. Like, what? What's up with all this? Finally, though, as we got onto the expressway, not the freeway, you got to pay money. But our car had an ETC thing where you can like just pay the toll and just go right on through.
Yep.
And apparently, their car didn't, so they had to go off to the side and pay the toll. And by the
Uh-huh.
time they did that, we lost them. And it was like,
Nice.
thank you. So that was a bit scary.
No joke. Well, that actually reminds me of one of the stories that Randy told on Monday as well about how he'd had a party at his house with a bunch of other Gaijin baseball players and all that kind of stuff. And, of course, there's a lot of drinking and eating and stuff like that. But I guess like a reporter broke in the at some point
And took pictures
and took
of all
pictures.
the empty bottles.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
famous story.
And that became something where Randy was like, I'm not talking to the media anymore until you tell me who did it. And nobody came out and told him. And then eventually this one reporter told him the pen is mightier than the sword. And that was a lesson that Randy said he learned that day. Well,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah. So all that to say, um, was it not an unforgettable 3 days?
It was amazing. It's a once in a lifetime experience, and I'm glad I got to be a part of it.
Definitely. Well, I'm glad you got to be a part of it too, because that meant that you and I got to actually hang out and be in the same, uh, space, which is not often something that we do. It's of course great to be on Zoom with you and talking about it right now, but it's always better to do stuff face to face, man.
So, you know, later this year, maybe when we get to the Are, or when you get to Hawaii,
Mm,
we'll do this again in person.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. So on that note though, I'm actually writing my, I guess my memories of this 3 day thing. I'm in the process of writing it now, and I'm a slow writer these days, folks. Like since I stopped doing H10, I just can't write like I used to. It's like I lost my skill. But anyways, it will be out there at some point on Substack, and it will be free. I actually don't put a lot of stuff out there that's paid at present, because I don't really feel like I need to be paid for writing. So if you want to follow me on Substack and just get stuff in your mailbox from me every now and then, I would love that. I would appreciate that. Um, and if not, that's okay. But I do hope that, our paths do cross again at some point. I'm not promising that Sanjay and I will be back doing more podcasting anytime ever. We just don't know. But this does feel like a magical year, Sanjay. And I feel like I would be letting down a whole lot of people. Or I guess on the flip side, so letting them down if I don't do anything. But on the flip side, I would also maybe be helping a lot of people if I were able to put something out in 2025, as this might be a year for the history books for the Hanshin Tigers.
This is going to be a special year, and T Ray is a good follow. So you guys all just follow him.
There you go. Thank you. Yes, so we're going to end this here. We're going to land the plane. But as I said, stay in touch with me. You've got the Substack. And I think right now that's about it, because I'm not really active on the socials anymore. But go find me on Substack, Trevor's Window into Japan. Thank you, Sanjay, for this time. I really appreciate it.
Great as always to hand.
All right, let's go Tigers, and let's go Randy Bass. Here's to meeting you again.